The essence of a possession is a person going into a trance and a demonic sounding voice coming out of them. Attacking religion, usually using very crude and violent language, like leave her alone, she's ours, this type of thing. Superhuman strength, knowing secrets of people that a human being could never know otherwise. Knowing secrets of people that a human being could never know otherwise. Knowing secrets of people that a human being could never know otherwise.
12 Apostle, Zion, ZCC, Saint John, and Sangomas, and other cults which emanate or which derive from these cults or which imitate these cults are all using or being used by demons. And in reality, all these cults which I've mentioned and those which I haven't mentioned, all of them, they are not using demons. They are being used by demons. They are the slaves. They are the ones who are performing the rituals, not the demons. So they are worshippers of the demons.
And the first words out of Julia's mouth were, "Well, Doc, how did you like those cats last night?" Now, I'd never met the woman before. She would often tell me how people's parents had died. For instance, she told me, I know your mother died of ovarian cancer, which was true. And once I was on the telephone line, on a landline in this case, with the other exorcist. Now remember, Julia was not on the phone conversation. This was not a conference call or anything. We actually knew where she was at the time. She was about 1,000 miles away. And that same voice came in over the phone line. Said the same kind of thing. She's ours, leave her alone. So I said to the priest, I said, did you hear that? And he said to me, yeah, the evil spirit can even interrupt our phone conversation, which I found pretty remarkable. It was pretty creepy, but I also found it pretty remarkable. She was completely demonically possessed. It just doesn't happen out of the blue. It's not like your average person all of a sudden is going to wake up and be possessed. There is pretty much always an explanation. They have turned to evil in a very explicit way. For instance, in Julia's case, the context was obvious. She had turned to Satanism.
I think there's a couple of extra points I would mention. I think definitely to add to what the Sheikh said, the statement of Allah Azza wa Jal, إِنَّمَا ذَلِكُمُ الشَّيْطَانُ يُخَوِّفُ أَوْلِيَاءَهُ فَلَا تَخَافُوهُمْ وَخَافُونِ إِن كُنتُم مُؤْمِنِينَ. This is only the shaitan that makes you scared of his allies. Don't be scared of them, but be scared of me if you're really believers. There's another evidence with regard to shaitan loves you to have fear of the shaitan and to spread around fear of the shayateen. And that fear, when it reaches a certain level, can even reach the level of shirk billahi azza wa jalla, that somebody can fear the shayateen, a fear that is only deserving to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And it can reach a level that is a wasila to that, or leads a person to abandon some of the obligations in their religion. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Surah Al-Hujurat, O you who believe, if there comes to you a disobedient person with some news, verify it, lest you harm a people out of ignorance and then become regretful over what you've done. Here, I want to focus on how the scholars, they mentioned that this doesn't just apply to the fasiq, but it applies to the one who is anonymous. Because the one who is anonymous, we don't know whether that person is a fasiq or someone who is righteous or not. And there is no one more anonymous to us than the jinn, because we can't see them, we can't verify. When they tell us where they're from, when they tell us who they are, we have no way of verifying. Even with a human being, you have some steps you can take to verify the truth or the falsehood of what a person is saying. But with regard to the jinn, you have no way to verify that. And the ayah tells us that there can be real harms that can come about when you take information that you're not sure of the truthfulness of it and you spread it among people. You can cause harm to people, and you can cause people to end up with false beliefs and ideas. And how many times I've personally seen that the jinn tell stories that, subhanAllah, these stories, at the minimum, they distract a person from remembering Allah, and in a worst case scenario, they can take a person far away from Islam, because they start to tell stories and people start to believe them, and they tell things about what will happen in the future, that they have their za'am about what will happen, their imagination about what will happen in the future. Otherwise, they don't know. But what they imagine will happen, or they tell things, for example, like they say this was done by your mother or your sister or your brother or your uncle, and you have no way of verifying that. And indeed, what it causes is families to break up, and it causes news to be spread that's not, and people, they spread conspiracy stories about things that happen and blame people without evidence. I feel that there's so much harm can come from this